Welcome to Carmen's Australian Storytime. The book we're reading today is called Ernie Dances to the Didgeridoo, and it's written and illustrated by Alison Lester, one of my favourite authors. Let's have a look at the blurb to see what this book's about. Ernie is going to live in Arnhem Land. Arnhem Land is at the top of Australia for a whole year. He flies above the desert, travels over the floodplains, crosses the East Alligator River, and arrives at his new home. Here are Ernie's letters to Clive, Nikki, Rosie, Frank, Tessa, and Celeste, describing the life he discovers with his new friends in the wild and beautiful land. This sounds very interesting. He's driving from the bottom of Australia to the top of Australia for a whole year. Do you sometimes write letters to your friends? Ernie is going to live in Arnhem Land for a year. Ernie waves goodbye to Rosie, Frank, Tessa, Nikki, Clive and Celeste and promises to write them a letter for each of the 6 Arnhem Land seasons. He flies above the desert for hours. His parents are working at a hospital there. He lands in Darwin. It's hot. He travels over the floodplains, across the East Alligator River. So he's flown in a plane and now he's driving in a car, crossing the floodplains in his car. Have you ever been through floodplains in a car? Usually you have to be in a 4-wheel drive. And arrives at his new home. It's nighttime when they get there. Do you think he might be feeling a bit scared to arrive somewhere new? Have you ever felt scared when you're arriving at a new place? Dear Clive, it's Kuujjuaq now, the monsoon season. Sammy surfs in the puddles. Christine slides in the mud. Ernie catches frogs. It rains every day, but I'm having a good time. Joseph plays football. Patrick spears a barramundi, and Jenna rides her bike in the rain. The monsoon season is when it rains all the time. It rains and rains and rains. But Tammy and her baby brother watch a goanna floating on the floodwaters. The floodwaters have come right to the veranda of their house. Lucky the house is built up on stilts. A lot of the houses in Darwin and Arnhem Land are like that. But Jenna goes for a walk, and her grandfather's pig goes too. He's following Jenna. Must be a pet pig. My mum used to have a pet pig. I haven't had a pet pig before, but I know my mum did. Dear Nikki, it's yucky now, cool weather time. Patrick gets painted with the crocodile dreaming. Joseph and his uncle collect bark for painting. Christine digs for yams. Ernie learns to make a spear. Jenna dances at the disco. And Tammy goes for a sugar bag. What do you think a sugar bag is? Use your visual clues. Have a look at the picture. I think a sugar bag is the bees up in the tree because the hive that they make, native bees, looks like a sugar bag. The water lilies are flowering and they smell beautiful. I actually have some water lilies growing in my fish pond at the moment. They haven't flowered yet, but my fingers are crossed. But Sammy is frightened by the Mimi stilt dancers. Can you see the stilt dancers? They're dancing with stilts attached to their legs to make them tall. I'm making a connection. It's reminding me of when I lived up near Arnhem Land and I used to go to the Mindil markets and see the stilt dancers perform. Dear Celeste, it's working, the early dry season. Tammy catches a file snake. Ernie goes fishing. Joseph takes his sister for a walk. Jenna's mother teaches her to weave pandanus. Sammy plays tin trucks. And Christine learns the yarn dance. You see the different things. The dry season, it's not going to rain at all, so you can get out and do lots of different things. It's usually when children have their school holidays. But Patrick's grandfather tells him about the creation mother. He's giving him a yarn. He's telling him a Dreamtime story. Up in Arnhem Land, there are lots of Dreamtime stories carved into the rocks, and you can go and have a look at them. It's very important to show respect for all of the cultural things that you find around nature. But Joseph surprises a thirsty horse under his house. Imagine if you woke up and went downstairs and there was a horse underneath the house drinking out of your tap. What do you think frightened the horse? I get a feeling it was Ernie running out with a basketball. I would get a fright too. Dear Tessa, it's Cumulong, the pre-monsoon season. So this is called build-up in Darwin, and it's when it's very hot, dry and sticky, and people get very cranky because it's so hot. Patrick is a horse in the school play. Tammy is a butterfly. Sammy is a frog. Ernie is a frill-necked lizard. Jenna is a cornella. And Joseph is Kinga, the crocodile. Can you see them all? But Christine rings the bell on Santa's truck. So what time of year do you think it is if Santa's coming to visit? Dear Ernie, thank you for your letters. Celeste is a stilt dancer. Do you remember he told them about that? Clive wears body paint, so he's getting painted. Tessa teaches us some Kumwinju words, so she's been looking up the language in her spare time to teach people. Nikki does a bark painting of her guinea pig. Rosie makes damper, and Frank is a hunter and his dog Roger is the dingo. Have a look at that. So they're all dressing up from his letters and all of the things that he's taught them. We are doing special Arnhem Land activities at school. You might know it as NAIDOC Day if you're at school, when you get to celebrate all things Indigenous and you get to do lots of fun activities. But we wonder what you are doing, Ernie. What's Ernie going to write next? What is he doing? He's dancing while his friend plays the didgeridoo. I wish I had a didgeridoo to show you. If you look it up on the internet, you might see someone playing a didgeridoo. It's not easy to play a didgeridoo. You have to suck in your breath and breathe your breath at the same time. It's very tricky. And that's the end of our story. What an adventure he had. Do you think you would have fun going to live somewhere different for the year? Thank you for listening to Carmen's Australian Storytime. I really enjoyed this story, and of course it's an Alison Lester book, and look, she's got a CCA award for it, which means it's in the children's books of shortlisted books. Anytime you see this symbol, go and get the book, it's worth it. Alright, thanks for joining me. See you next time. Bye.